What they do know how to do is plan some with those friends of theirs. And like sometimes, honestly, babe, you gotta let these men date their friends.
What's your sign? What's your name? You just wanna have me for the weekend.
Hello, A-listers. It is me, Ashley, and today I am doing what I like to call Dear Ashley. Yeah, I just wanted to do like an advice segment. So think of like listener letters, asking for a friend. They have these segments on some of my favorite podcasts, and I just wanted to give you guys like my 2 cents. So I'm going to be spraying down my lace a little bit and then styling my baby hairs and styling my hair. I will have the specifications for this hair in the description box down below. But basically, yeah, I'm gonna be giving you advice and I'm gonna be doing my hair at the same time. You sent in your questions over on my Instagram story. If you aren't following me on Instagram, make sure that you do that. And if you like these videos or these types of videos where I tell you what I would do in a situation or I just give you advice, then give this video a big, huge thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, join the A-list so you don't miss any of my new uploads, and turn on that post notification bell so you get notified whenever I do post. So let's go ahead and hop right in. Let me take my ponytail holder down, then take that off. If you look over here, the ear tab is kind of like lifting up a little bit, so I just want to spray that down. Okay, that's one. We're gonna move to the other side, and then I'm gonna start styling and answering y'all's advice questions. So I'm gonna start working on my baby hairs. I'm gonna use the Erica J Fluff Stuff styling foam. The first question says, would you quit your current job that you hate without another one lined up or wait it out? I wouldn't quit a current job that I hated without another one lined out if I didn't have like 3 to 6 months worth of savings set aside. That's if I lived on my own. Now, if I lived at home with my parents or I could move back in with my parents after quitting my job, then honestly, I would do that. But I feel like being an adult is sometimes having to work a job that you hate and then sometimes having to wait it out as well, not being able to just quit it and leave it. But obviously the most responsible thing to do is make sure that you have money set aside. If you do not have money set aside, then stay. Wait it out. Try to find a side hustle so that you can bring in a little bit more money, and then just actively look for a new job. Get LinkedIn Premium. Have your resume updated, whether you update it yourself or you pay somebody who does a really good job, a really phenomenal job of doing resumes. Have them updated. And then just apply. The same hours that you would spend working, you need to spend that time looking for a new job. Because if adulthood has taught us anything, we know that bills don't care. You can say whatever you want to say, bills don't care. Guy friends who starts dating a woman that does not like the idea of you around. I think that is mostly up to the guy to rectify and like to resolve. I feel like there may be a tiny bit of insecurity within the woman that he's with, but then he also needs to like reassure that woman that y'all are just friends, and do that to preserve y'all's friendship. Now, sometimes you'll come across like a man who is like, this relationship is really important to me. She doesn't really like me kicking it with you, and so, you know, I'm gonna choose her. And we're adults, you know, that happens a lot. Sometimes you might not be able to see your friend throughout the duration of that relationship, or you'll see him like every few months, if that. And like, if y'all are good enough friends, like, you just gotta be okay with that. If he can rectify the situation, if he can say like, you don't have anything to worry about, to his girl, obviously not to you, but like, if he can, you know, convince his girlfriend that she doesn't have anything to worry about, and that, you know, men and women truly can be friends, because they can, then that'll preserve y'all's friendship. Just be careful, because she might not like you. And so y'all's friendship being preserved is one thing, and you can see that as a win. But then sometimes if the friendship is preserved, and she sees how hard he went to make sure that you all remain friends, she might have some resentment towards you and still might not want him to kick it with you, even if she's like, yeah, it's okay, I totally understand, you know, I get it, y'all are friends. You can have, you know, friends that are women. What I've learned in terms of like being an adult, people are 9 times out of 10 going to choose whoever they're in a relationship with over whatever else. So honestly, I wouldn't even feel too bad about it. Like, I wouldn't press the issue too much, because you don't want to put your guy friend in a position, like back him into a corner where he has to choose between you or her, or like his female friends and her, because he's always going to choose her and you might get your feelings hurt. What do you do when a guy is distant? With guys, it is what it looks like. It is what it feels like. A man can say anything, and sometimes men will say anything. I think as women, we need to normalize walking away at the first sign of not being treated with the utmost respect. We don't deserve to be treated like an afterthought. And while there may be a valid reason why the guy is distant, the thing is, he needs to be able to use his words and communicate with you like what's going on. If he started out super consistent, if he started out super interested in you, if he pursued you, which 12 times out of 12 is usually the case, he like initiated all of this. Once he starts getting distant, number one, don't freak out. Number two, if you want him to come back, that's the sign that you need to remain calm and just know that he'll be back. You know what I'm saying? If you want him to come back. That's the thing. Like, sometimes a guy will get distant and it's really in your best interest to just chalk it up to, you know, whatever his excuse is. He didn't consider you enough. He didn't care about you enough to like give you a heads up and let you know something was going on. So option number two is flexible. You can walk away, but if you really truly desire him, then don't freak out and know that he's gonna come back around. They always come back. You just have to, number three, get to a point where you figure out how you're going to have a conversation with him to let him know, like, you can't treat me like an afterthought. You can't just get distant. You can't just kind of go ghost and disappear without any heads up, without letting me know what's going on, without letting me know you're still alive, you're still breathing, that you're safe. Sometimes you might be dealing with a guy getting distant because he has another option that he's looking into. Sometimes you might be experiencing a guy getting distant because he's really busy with work. Sometimes he really just wants to hang out with his friends and just like really focus on his social life. Sometimes a guy will get distant because of you. I think guys, kind of like us as women, have this sentiment about them where, you know how like we'll say as women, we want flowers, but we don't want to say we want flowers. We just want you to get us flowers because you want to get us flowers, not because you know we want flowers. Do you get what I'm saying? Follow me, camera. Sometimes a guy will like want you to display certain characteristics when you're with him without him specifically saying he wants you to possess those characteristics. I think a lot of men don't talk about it a lot. They don't say it enough, but like they want that reassurance. So after he's pursued you, he wants to know that like you have, you know, those feelings for him. And sometimes as women, we can, in an attempt to not come off eager, excited, thirsty, whatever, we can be guarded. You know what I'm saying? We can be a little withdrawn. We can not be so open. And, you know, he could very well be getting distant because he doesn't feel like it's mutual on your end. And instead of upping the ante, he's just matching your energy, which is a little petty, it's a little childish, but men are men. Have you met men? Whatever the reasoning behind his distance, I just think, like I said, as women, we need to normalize walking away at the first sign of mistreatment. You can't go in with these like negotiable, non-negotiables. You can't go in expecting romance. You can't go in expecting consistent communication. You can't go in expecting dates. And then once he drops the ball, then you're giving him the benefit of the doubt and you're making excuses for him. Distance is him dropping the ball, especially if it's distance without any reasoning behind it. Now, if he comes around and says like, oh, sorry, I haven't talked to you in the past 72 hours. I had a family emergency, da 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 da. Like, that's your cue to let him know that you would like a heads up going forward. Like, you can let him know, but that's the thing. If/when he'll come back around, you've already created even more of a wall and you already have even more of your guard up because you literally just saw him mug you off. And so you don't want to be mugged off by him again. You don't want to give him that much power. If a guy is feeling something but he's not communicating it, he just chooses to get distant, or he just chooses distance, then that's not the guy for you, because you want a guy who wants you so much that he's not gonna say things like, oh, I'm not gonna chase you, or I don't want to seem thirsty. A guy that chooses distance is a guy that's like not emotionally mature enough to date you. Hanging with a guy you like but he's in a situation with someone but the sex is amazing. Girl, you don't want to give that man that much pleasure, nor do you want to give him that much power. I say this because what you're doing, I completely understand that you're like, oh, okay, the intimacy is amazing. Okay, but he's in a situation. That's what you said. He's in a quote unquote situation. But even him being in a quote unquote situation, he's getting like cake from you and ice cream from her, and then vice versa, getting creme brulee from you and then getting fresh berries from her. He's getting cheesecake from you, he's getting key lime pie from her, and he doesn't really deserve all of that. What he needs to do is make a decision, because I know, like, this is not what you want to hear, but you're compromising your health and hers and his by allowing him to have a situation, and then you're just on the side. And who's to say that it's just between you, her, and him? Who's to say that there isn't like a situation, you and then 3 other people on the side? Because this man has this feeling, this man has this thought, this man is being shown basically that he can have a situation and he can have things on the side as well. Now, you may be okay with where things stand with the both of you, but I'm looking at it from the perspective of, well, what about the girl that's in the situation? You know what I'm saying? And like, flip the tables. How would you feel if you were the girl that was in the situation and like there was somebody on the side that was like, oh, well, he's in a situation? Like, who wants to be regarded as just a situation? Like, nobody wants to be regarded as that. So like, don't do that to her. And don't do that to yourself. You need to get some clarity. You need to get some clarity, and also the girl who's in the situation with him, like, she deserves clarity as well. So whether or not the situation girl knows about you or she finds out about you, I really hope she doesn't find out about you, but he needs to choose. He needs to get somewhere and he needs to sit down. Is it immature for me to reciprocate energy to friends, i.e. being unresponsive, dry, etc.? I'm gonna say short answer, yes. That is very immature, because that energy that you're using to match theirs basically is energy that you could be using to just flat out tell them, hey, when you do this, it makes me feel like this. So you can say something along the lines of, I feel as though we're really not spending a lot of quality time together as friends. Do you guys have any free time in your schedule? Like, I would love to spend time with you guys and hang out, something like that. You know, try to initiate something, or just like let your feelings be known. But it honestly takes more energy out of you to match somebody else's energy, to lower your frequency and lower your vibration like that, so that you can give somebody a taste of their own medicine. That's just not necessary at all. It could be, you know, one of two things. Maybe you two are growing, maybe not you two, but maybe you, in terms of your friends, are growing apart, or maybe it's just a global pandemic and they're just dealing with a lot of stuff. And you could say all you want to, well, Ashley, I saw them on Instagram and I saw them on Twitter and they're doing this and they're hanging out and they're doing this all without me, da 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 da. Okay, so tell them how you feel. How do you handle toxic family? I've really had to work through this to handle that in like a very mature way. I had a very immature way of handling it, and the short answer was I don't. But in terms of handling toxic family, what I've learned is like, it's so necessary to create boundaries, you know, create boundaries that protect you. But the most important thing you have to realize is like, any toxicity that you experience in terms of your family did not start with you. You being born in your existence did not create toxicity. You have to really learn that like those two things are separate. Your family, yeah, you're related by blood, but you're your own person. And you have every right to be whoever you want to be. They are the ones that are making the decision to be whoever they want to be. That has nothing to do with you. So the boundaries that you may set may be, you don't call them, you just text them every now and then, and you set the time in which you text them. So like maybe you text them once a week just to check in and see how they're doing, and nothing more, nothing less. You know what I'm saying? Maybe another boundary that you set is that you don't talk to them at all. I know sometimes you may live with that toxic family member or those toxic family members, and that's really hard to deal with. So if you are trying to set boundaries with toxic family members that you live with, the best thing to do is to not give them your energy. Do not give them your energy. Do not dignify them with a response. If they ask a question, you really can respond with, that question doesn't resonate with me, or I don't have an answer for you. Create firm boundaries and do not give them a reaction. Don't have an outburst in front of them. It's not necessary. It's really not going to change much unless they're open like to going to like family counseling with you, or they're open to really working it out and talking it out and changing their behavior. You just have to come to terms with the fact that you have to separate them being blood relatives and their behavior, separate all of that from yourself. Create boundaries that protect you, that protect your energy, that protect your space, that protect your mental health. And that's all you can do. I struggle with self-esteem, and I want to know, how do you know your worth? This is such a great advice question, because I actually brought in some like hella reinforcements to answer this question. My first piece of advice when it comes to self-esteem, you have to do the work. That's the only way that you're going to prove to yourself that you're worthy, by constantly showing up for yourself. If you ask me this question and then I tell you, like I show you what it is, the resources that I've used, you know, to help me, and you're like, oh, that's too much. You don't want it bad enough. You know what I'm saying? You have to want it. You have to show up for yourself. The only person that's going to save you is you. A husband won't do it. A baby won't do it. A best friend won't do it. Colleagues won't do it. Co-workers won't do it. Followers online won't do it. The only person who can do it, the only human who can do it, is you. So these are the resources that I was referring to. First order of business is, why do I do that? This is Psychological Defense Mechanisms and the Modern Ways They Shape Our Lives. This is by Joseph Burgo. He's a psychoanalyst, a clinical psychologist. This book is really, really good. I've gotten partially through it. I'm still reading it, but the book is so good because it talks about projection, it talks about control, disarming your defenses, because a lot of times when you feel like you have low self-worth or you feel like you have low self-esteem, it stems from something that is triggering you. Situations may trigger you, people may trigger you, whatever it is that triggers you, you have a trigger, you have a blockage, and you have like some type of like self-limiting belief in regards to yourself, and that all of that together is affecting your self-worth and it's affecting your self-esteem. The next book is Bad Childhood, Good Life by Dr. Laura Schlesinger. So growing up, my dad listened to a lot of talk radio. That's probably why I like podcasts so much. It's like this deep rooted thing as to why I like podcasts. But yeah, Bad Childhood, Good Life is just basically a book about like overcoming childhood trauma. It says how to blossom and thrive in spite of an unhappy childhood. Now, obviously, I'm in therapy. I talk about my childhood trauma. I unpack that, and I don't think I had an unhappy childhood, but I am self-aware enough to recognize that I've experienced childhood trauma. Now, that's between me and my therapist. Your childhood trauma is between you and your therapist. Your childhood trauma is between you and your journal. Your childhood trauma is between you and the people who love you, who care about you, who create safe spaces for you. Learn that. Live that. Don't go around talking about your childhood trauma. That can contribute to your self-esteem issues, because if you talk about your childhood trauma, if you talk about what led to your self-esteem issues, there are a lot of malicious, hateful, hurtful, cruel, evil people out there that are loading up the chopper and will let it sing anytime they want to trigger you, bait you, gaslight you, or manipulate you. So save yourself, okay? The next book is Blessing or Curse by Derek Prince. Blessing or curse, you can choose. I think low self-esteem has a lot to do with an impending sense of doom and looking at the glass as like half empty and just feeling like Eeyore, just moping around, feeling low about yourself. And so blessing or curse really helps you change your outlook on your life. And when you change your outlook on your life, it helps you look at situations so much differently. So you don't look at situations through the lens of the self-esteem issued version of yourself. You look at issues, or you look at your life through the lens of somebody who is like worthy, who is confident, who is brilliant, who is beautiful. You look at the blessing in things. You know what I'm saying? So this is a great book about perspective, essentially. The next book is Free Your Energy. This is by Sylvester McNutt III. So this is the path to freedom, mental clarity, and a life of enjoyment. So it explores emotions and ideas. It gives you stories, reflection points, mantras, and acts as a guide to discover your own path to freedom. So low self-esteem has a lot to do with mental bondage, and you want to mentally release yourself. So mental freedom is a great thing to achieve. Free Your Energy is a great book. Look into your attachment style. Look into your personality type. Look into what makes you you. A lot of times, like I said, when you have low self-esteem or self-esteem issues, you don't know yourself well enough to be sure of yourself. So get to know yourself. Oh my gosh. This book is so freaking good. Learning to Love Yourself, Finding Your Self-Worth. I cannot say her name. I will try. By Sharon Wegscheider Cruz. I believe this is her name. I believe that's how you pronounce it. However, learning to love yourself is a journey to self-worth. It is necessary for us to get rid of our toxic, self-defeating messages and choose positive changes. Shows you a new perspective and guides you to higher self-worth so that you finally can learn to love yourself. This book is so freaking good. This book is really good. Like, this book is really, really good. It talks about forgiveness. It talks about feelings. It talks, like, I get so excited about this book because it is just so, it was such a good read. I'm gonna go back and read it again, obviously. It talks about shame, depression, guilt, grief, developing intimacy with yourself, your emotional needs. This book helps you really get to know yourself, and it teaches you all the little gems, the tips, and the tricks on really learning to love yourself. I highly, 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 highly recommend this book. There are no magic tricks to it. There are no secrets to it. You can make the decision right here, right now while you're watching this video. You can pause the video and affirm yourself right here, right now. Say, I accept myself exactly the way that I am. And then you want to go from there by utilizing the resources that I just provided. But the first order of business is to always accept yourself for who and how you are. Right here, right now. Whatever it is you don't like about yourself. I'm not even going to start listing things, because who cares what you don't like about yourself, because you have to accept it, because that's how you are. That's who you are. The thing is, like, can you change it? Do you want to change it? If you can change it and you want to change it, then accept it so you can go ahead and start making an action plan on how you're going to go about changing it. I think that's another thing. Low self-esteem and low self-worth can really come from caring too damn much about what outside sources say, about outside sources validating you and outside sources affirming you. Who cares? Do you affirm you? Do you validate you? Do you like you? Do you love you? And it's okay if the answer is, I don't think so, because you can work with that. What's your best advice about saving money? Okay, so I think this is a tweet that I saw, and I'll put it up on the screen, especially if I can find it. Said something along the lines of like, no amount of cooking at home and cutting corners and budgeting is going to negate the fact that we don't make enough money. So when it comes to saving money, the first rule of saving money is that it takes money. If you don't have enough money to save, then you cannot save. That means if you don't have money left in your bank account after you pay your bills, after you buy groceries, after you put gas in your car, you know, if you don't have money left over after you take care of everything you absolutely need to take care of, and you haven't purchased anything for yourself as like leisure or pleasure, then you don't make enough money. And if you don't make enough money, then you cannot save money. And if you can't save money, it really is expensive to be out here in these adulthood streets, because it's actually costly when you don't have enough money, because you have to deal with overdraft fees, you have to deal with late fees. Like, there's so many fees that you have to deal with, and you didn't have enough money to cover that expense to begin with. So it takes money to save money. That is the most important saving tip. How do you manage going on dates by yourself and enjoy your own company? I actually started doing this when I was in high school, when I got my car. I grew up with my dad. He doesn't cook on the regular. He doesn't cook often at all. So let's say he would want like Outback Steakhouse, and I'd be like, well, I want a salad from Panera. He'd be like, okay, go get it. So I would go to Panera by myself, you know what I'm saying? So like, I started doing that by myself, and because I was like in high school at that time, I was really studious, and I would take my big tote purse with me and, you know, do some schoolwork, do some reading. That's how it started. And then for me, I didn't have the best experience in college. So especially like at TWU, I kept to myself. Like they were just like really cliquey at TWU and at UNT, specifically UNT. But yeah, they were super cliquey. Like, if you didn't go there freshman year and you didn't solidify like what friend group you belonged to, you were basically just like a floater and like a loner for the duration of your time there. That was my experience, at least. So I didn't really have a space or a place where I fit in. So for that reason, I got really, really comfortable going out by myself because I didn't have any other option. I think starting off, if you want to like go out by yourself, bring a book or bring your laptop, bring a prop of some sort. Don't look unapproachable. If you want to be approached, I don't know. If you don't want to be approached, obviously get extremely consumed in whatever it is that you're doing. You should not feel uncomfortable or awkward when you are in your own company. It should not take you being around a bunch of people for you to come alive. You know what I'm saying? You should feel alive. You should feel happy and fulfilled, and you should feel good in your own company. And if you don't, then you do need to spend time by yourself. You do need to go out by yourself. You do need to build your confidence being by yourself, because I guarantee you, the reason why you feel iffy about going out by yourself is because you think people are paying attention to you. And honestly, people couldn't care less about you unless you look really good. And if you look really good, okay, like, don't be too consumed with what you're doing so that you can get a free drink or a free meal. A guy who simply won't make the effort to date you but goes everywhere with guy friends. I think you have to like get to the point where you realize that some of these men are in relationships with their friends. You have to let these men date their friends. They know exactly how to communicate effectively in that group chat. They know exactly when they're gonna meet up with their friends, what time they're gonna meet up with their friends, what they're gonna do with their friends. What they do know how to do is plan some shit with those friends of theirs. And like, sometimes, honestly, babe, you gotta let these men date their friends. He doesn't wanna date you. He doesn't like you like that. He likes his friends. He's in a full-blown relationship with his friends. Wish him well. Okay, listeners, that is it. Hopefully you enjoyed Dear Ashley. That's me. If you would like me to give you guys more advice, or if you asked me a question and I couldn't get around to it, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up so I can make a part 2 to this. I can do my makeup while I answer you guys' questions and give you advice. It can just be a sit down video where I'm like relaxed and I'm in my room, maybe drinking a little bit of Stella Rosa. Whatever it is that you guys want, you let me know, okay? So let me know in the comment section down below actually what it is that you would like to see. If you would like to see more Dear Ashley videos, definitely let me know. And if you have any questions that you would like answered in terms of advice about your life or someone that you know, you can send me a DM on my Instagram or you can send me an email. And until next time, stay beautiful. I love you guys. Goodbye.